The mission of New Hope is to provide emergency shelter to families. We're a 90-day shelter on paper, but we believe that if their 90 days come up and they're just 1 or 2 weeks or a month or 2 months away from getting stable, we'll extend that time. I want to be real clear about that. We're also about reducing the barriers that families face. If somebody works third shift, we're flexible with their curfew. Sobriety is not necessarily required at New Hope, but they can't use drugs and alcohol in the shelter, but we wouldn't deny someone shelter if they had alcohol in their breath, as long as their children are safe. That's our goal. I volunteered with New Hope because I felt passionate about the mission. I really connected with it because I was homeless twice as a child, and I've experienced poverty throughout a large portion of my life. Poverty is not something that you can just jump out of. It's not a matter of just pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. So I felt really passionate about the importance of keeping families together through a crisis, because when my family was homeless, I couldn't imagine having been separated from my parents, because typically moms and kids would go to one shelter and then dads will go to another shelter. When I was a kid, I didn't know that we were poor. I didn't know that we were homeless. Those are labels that honestly I didn't learn until I went to college. Just like every other kid, I had birthdays, just like every other kid. I had struggles, or just like every other kid, we went to church. So those aren't things that when you're experiencing it, you don't know that that's what you're experiencing. All I do know is that I was a little different. Like the first day of kindergarten, I noticed that the other kids had brand new boxes of crayons, and I thought, gosh, it's not Christmas. I had a box, a cigar box, and our crayons were always broken. We reused them for as long as we possibly could until there was nothing left. That's when I noticed I was different. When I experienced homelessness as a child, I thought of how traumatic that would be on me to be separated from my parents. And we now know that there's a lot of data out there that proves that. It's very traumatic for children to be separated from their primary caregivers. And because we keep families together, we feel like it reduces the amount of trauma that children experience. So one of our families came here, and she and her teenage daughter were sleeping in their car, and it was very, very hot out. It was unusually hot that year. So they were exhausted, understandably so, when they got here to New Hope. After we did our intake and assessment, I later found out that she had 2 other children who were staying with a relative, and I asked her, why don't you, if you want to be reunited with your children, bring them here. As I did a little more digging, because she seemed hesitant, and that's often the case, people don't want to just divulge everything they're going through, but she was hesitant to let me know that her boyfriend was camping out in a tent because he didn't think that he would be able to come into the family shelter with them. And when I let her know, well, of course he can come here, have him move in. That's your family. Your children have been separated from their family, and so he moved in as well. Then the family was able to make some headway, and now they're business owners. They run their own garage out of their home. She later came back to work for us, and we've stayed in touch with this family over the years, which I think is really great. I think it's important to celebrate things during a crisis like homelessness, and to recognize that this doesn't have to be viewed as a negative thing, that we can view this as a stepping stone to something else. I think that's what kept my family going through our homelessness, is we were always looking for some normalcy. My brother and I set the table at a picnic table just like we did at home. And I think having those rituals and routines, or something like celebrating a birthday, just celebrations, are important while they're here.